Hey, welcome to Chasing Growth, episode number 9. Before we start, I would like to make two comments. One on the coronavirus, and I would like to remind everyone, if you're a Christian, you are son and daughter of the sovereign God, and nothing happened in your life without Him being in control. Our peace comes from knowing that He's in control. Our comfort comes from knowing that He's in control. I'm afraid that we have been so focused on comfort as a church, as a Christian, the way we do things. We try to live a life without problems, a life without challenges. And clearly that's not what the Bible teaches, and clearly is not what Jesus taught us. So in life, we will face trials and challenges and situations. If you're not in one, you probably will get in one soon. And maybe you're getting out of one and you know exactly what I'm saying. And the key is to remember that God is in complete control. And again, there's no accidents in the Christian life. God is working all things together for good, and nothing comes to you without going through His hands of love. So our response to this coronavirus should be a godly response. No panicking, no concern, just doing what is wise, watching your hands, following the direction of what the authorities are telling us, but at the same time, no acting like everybody else. To explain this, I'm going to tell you a very short story that I told my children to kind of give the example of how some Christians are reacting. So the story is about an eagle who actually fell from the nest and fell among turkeys. And because all what he knew were turkey, he started acting like a turkey, behaving like a turkey, being like a turkey, eating like a turkey, doing all things like a turkey. And the time passed by, and then one day the turkeys saw an eagle flying over them, and they start freaking out. They start being scared, panicking, going everywhere, maybe buying some toilet paper. I don't know. And they were so scared. And then the eagle realized he wasn't scared. He was not scared at all. And actually the other eagle called him out to fly with him, and he did. He opened his wings and he started flying, and he flew, and he realized he was an eagle. One other thing, and the reason I told this story to my kid, is that we have to remember who we are. We have to remember that we are not turkeys. We cannot be responding like everybody else. We cannot. This is the time for us Christians to respond in a godly way. Again, knowing that our hope, our comfort, our peace come from knowing that God is in complete control and that nothing happened in our life as an accident, that all things work together for good, and He's working His perfect plan through this. So if it happened that you get sick, follow the directions of the authority of the doctors, but at the same time, know that God is in complete control. It's also a time that we can be a good testimony for those who don't know Christ, that we can experience peace in the middle of the storm. So I just want to challenge everyone to respond the correct way, the godly way. Also, I want to tell you that we're doing this podcast in Spanish. It's called Chasing Growth, en español. I have an accent, as you can see, and I speak Spanish. So some people challenged me to do this in Spanish several times. I didn't want to do it because it's more work, but I'm doing it. So today I was able to do the first episode. I'm very happy. And hopefully, if you know somebody who speaks Spanish, share it with them. Tell them to find it under Chasing Growth en español on all the places you can find podcasts and in YouTube. Today I want to talk about leadership and something that happened to a lot of leaders, and this has to do with people and performance. When we are leaders, or when we're working really, we get promoted a lot of time because of performance. Nobody tell you that you have been promoted because you're so nice, so good with people and so nice. Many of us have been promoted and move up just because our performance, the things that we do, the work that we perform, the result that we give. And we get promoted like that, and that's natural, and that's not a problem. The problem is that many leaders stay there. Even when they get promoted, they keep focusing on performance. They keep focusing only on performance. And the reality is that we have to not only focus on performance, but we also we have to focus in people. We have to focus on people. So we need to have a good balance between performance and people. But what is the problem? We are already good with performance. So we want to stay there. We want to do our job. We want to shine because it's good. So this idea of worrying about people, the people who report to us, and why they not just do their job and let me do my job type of attitude, it is something that feels sometimes overwhelming, or sometimes may feel something that is beneath me. I shouldn't deal with those things. I'm the leader, I'm the person in charge. And the problem is that we never find a good balance between performance and people. And especially when we are on the other side, and the side of being the leader, being in charge, being the boss. And if you're already there, you got to start thinking on that. You got to think that performance is not everything. You have to be willing to find out, not only keep improving your performance and being good at it, however, you have to add to that equation people. For some of you, may come very natural. For some of you, may be very difficult. But either way, you have to find a good balance between people and performance. The only way to keep advancing, actually, and keep an organization to get better, a ministry to grow, a church to advance, have to do with that good balance in your leadership, in the different people who is responsible. If you're a leader that today sit in an office and all what you do is just send emails and tell people information and that's it, and you don't do anything else, and you don't approach to people, they don't even know you, they see you once in a while, probably you're somebody who's focused on performance and result, which again is not bad. You need that, you need results, but you also need the balance with people. The way that I would like to present this is with these two ideas. The people is the heart and the performance is the brain. You need a good balance in both. Why? Because some of you probably love the other one, love the people, and love just to do things and have it a great team and a great party, and you guys have so much fun doing what you do, and you love to see one another, but at the same time everything is done bad or incorrectly, or there's no good performance. So either way is bad when you go to the extreme. You got to find a good balance between the heart, the people, and the brain, the performance. Now, how you find that balance is actually just recognizing the problem. Recognizing that you may be focused only on the performance, or you may be focused only on the people. And believe it or not, you see it all the time. You see people, groups, sometimes they're so focused on people, they completely forget what is important, and they love to go to work, but they're doing nothing. And the other side, you see people who just focus on performance, and their groups are completely sad and miserable in so many ways, not experiencing a good time. So finding a good balance with that is very important. Now, whose role is that? Who's supposed to be doing it? And the first person who's supposed to be doing this is the leader, nobody else. So when the leader abdicate, and the leader don't want to do and don't want to work in the responsibility of finding the good balance between performance and people, usually it's because two things. Again, this is beneath me, I'm more important than that, or just you don't want to deal with people, because when people's involved, there's problems, there's difficulties, there's disagreement, misunderstanding, and you may be somebody who's concerned about lawsuit and other things like that. So you don't want to deal with people, you want to stay away from it, but that's a mistake. You should still do it, because if you don't do it, if you're in charge of one or two other people, they are in charge of other 2 or 3 people, what happens is that it won't happen all the way down. So either you will be focusing only in performance, or either you will be focused only on people, and in both ways is something that will keep your company, your organization sick. So what do? When it's about performance, you have to be very clear. You have to communicate well, and communicate very well what are the expectations. What is that is expected from each individual and departments and the whole company? What are the goals? What is that thing that you want to achieve? And when it's about people, you also got to determine some boundaries, how much you're going to do. Because if you just leave it to some people, every day will be a party. Every day will be a celebration. We should spend more money on this and that to have a good time. And it can go really far away. So clearly, you have to define very clearly both the performance aspect, so nobody's lacking, and we're so again, we can get so people oriented, and because we don't communicate it well, that sometimes somebody's late, somebody's doing a mess, somebody's being nasty, but we don't say anything because we don't want to offend anybody and we want everybody happy, and that's a problem. Or the other way around is that we so performance focused that we never stop to acknowledge how people feel, the emotions, what's going on. And that can be a very serious problem. What is the biggest problem if you're a new leader? If you're somebody who's being promoted because you did work well and you performance very, very well and you're being promoted, you have to acknowledge this, because the people under you, either way, will suffer if you don't take care of this. I remember I knew somebody who every Friday, he wasn't concerned about goals. This person wasn't concerned about performance. All how he was concerned was about what he looked like for people, and he was so concerned about that to the extreme. I remember this very clearly. On Fridays, he assigned Fridays to be the bingo Friday in the office. And the funny thing was that nobody wanted to play bingo. But that was his way to save people. And everything he will do will be, and everybody have to participate, or you will be in trouble. You can have somebody that extreme when it's focused about people, and they can make a mess. And not everything can be a game. You have to also focus on performance and clearly explain what is good when it's about performance, and clearly explain the boundaries, what is good when it's people. So if you're being promoted right now, what is the biggest problem? You will have authority to do these things. And when you have the authority, you can do the mistake like this guy to do mandatory Friday bingo, because you have authority to do it. But you have to ask yourself, is this good for this team? Is this good for this environment? Is this good for the environment of the company? The same way with performance. Are you asking too much from an environment when that's not expected? Maybe if you're running your own thing, you can do it. But if not, you have to be very careful and be able to balance both performance and people. And again, performance is the brain, people is the heart, and both got to be together. Another problem we have is when you're promoted as a leader and you still focus on performance because you know the result is what put you there, and you forget about people. Many things don't happen in companies, organizations, churches. And something that stop happening is coaching, or the leader is speaking close and clearly to everybody in middle management, for example. So what happened, the leader will say something and do some things and do the work and talking about numbers and getting it done, trying to get there. And a lot of times he thinks the things are happening because the report that he received is all good, because all performance, right? But everybody in the organization is completely unsatisfied and unhappy from the middle management down, because the middle management is also not doing what the leader is not doing. No coaching, no repeating the message, no talking about these things. For example, talking about having a good balance between performance and between people, between the brain and the heart, because they don't talk about that. The middle management thing is all about performance, so they go performance. So, and then one of the situations happen, you start losing good people, or people who's starting and they leave because they don't want to deal with this. They want to be valued as people, and they also want to be valued in their performance. And when you have a good balance with that, you accomplish amazing things. But again, start with the leader, and the leader will either get lazy. You get promoted, and let's say you don't have somebody over you, and you don't have anymore somebody checking on you, whatever is the situation. So the thing that you don't have to do, especially related to people, let's say you have some managers under you, directors or whatever, the thing that you have to do, they have to do it because they're supposed to be responsible for those teams. So you stop doing it, and you take the liberty to stop, for example, coaching. You stop having orientation meetings or good trainings, or measuring, or participating in interviews, making sure that people who come in is part of the culture. And it's not that you're being micromanager and you're not trusting people, but you have to be involved in that part too, not just in the performance. Again, it's having a great balance between performance and people. Now, remember, this is very important. It's a balance. Both are very important, and usually we tend to fall on one to another. One of the worst thing that can happen to somebody is to have too much authority and not realize this either way, like I said. You can become, again, that person is all about the party, and that person is all about the performance, get it done. and you're willing to get it done regardless of the cost on people, or you're willing to have a great time regardless of the consequences of the results. So either way, you will go wrong. So you have to find a balance between people, which we call the heart, and the brain, we call the performance. Those two things together, it create a good environment to accomplish great things. So thank you again for watching, for listening. Again, recommend us, share this podcast, share the message, like us on Facebook, send it everywhere, do whatever you want. But I hope these comments are good, and you keep watching next week.